All right, my name is Ruben Reyes and I'm an immigration attorney here in Phoenix, Arizona. This video is directed to people, seniors who are in high school who are going to graduate this next year, and they really haven't done much to kind of get ready for college or for life after high school. So I'm going to kind of give you some advice that people gave to me and hopefully help you get cracking in terms of what it is you need to do so you have the best opportunity to try and go from 0 to 60 in no time and make the most of what little time you have, so that you can maximize the opportunity to get admitted into a college, to get scholarship money, to figure out some of the things that people generally don't tell you. I'll say a little bit about myself. I come from a very humble family. I am the first in my family to graduate from college. I'm the first in my family to go to graduate school. I'm the first in my family to have a professional degree. My father went to 3rd grade. My mother's a high school graduate. And so there was nobody in my family who could help me in terms of telling me what it is I needed to know to prepare for college. I went to college late in life, or later. I was 28 when I went to undergrad, and I was 32 when I went to law school. And the reason I say this is because I want you to let people know that you don't have to just be 18. Maybe you are already out of school and you think, well, this video doesn't serve me any purpose whatsoever. But it should, because if you do want to go to school and you realize it's a little late, or maybe you think time has passed you by, it's never too late. You just have to have the aim, the desire, the goal to kind of put yourself in order to make yourself the best candidate possible. Not the best candidate, the best candidate possible. In regards to who you are and where you've been. The thing about going to university is you might expect that you need to have a 4.0 and you need to have all this kind of stuff on your resume, whatever it is in your mind that you think the perfect student is. And that's just not true. The university environment thrives because of diversity. So maybe it's your background in that you lived a more street-oriented life. You lived a rough life. You lived a difficult life. You've overcome many obstacles. These are the kinds of things that make you stand out from the general population. And even though you might not think it's something worth talking about, believe it or not, it is your story. And we'll get to that in here just a little bit. But to kind of go back to the what do I need to do to kind of just generally start in terms of, oh my gosh, I want to go to university. You need to do some research. It's so easy now. When I went to high school back in the day, the only way you could really do that was ask for, pamphlets from these schools. You'd have to call and talk to somebody and ask them to send you a brochure or a pamphlet. And you really couldn't do much more than that. But now you have the internet, you have alumni associations, you have school groups, organizations that have websites that can tell you what it's like at that school. If you want to go to a school A and you don't think it's the right school for you, but you see that there's a strong, Chicano population in regards to myself, you might talk to them and see, the Chicano group, the Mecha group, and see how they feel about going to that school. Reach out to them, reach out to different people, and find out what you can about the entire experience attending that university. Also, what kind of person, what kind of degree do you want to get? What kind of profession do you want to pursue? If you want to be an engineer, then maybe a small liberal arts college isn't for you. If you want to be a writer, then maybe going to a school that's heavily focused on engineering might not be for you. Really, the kind of school and the kind of products that they provide vary. And so you want to do your research, you want to do your homework, you want to find out what is it going to cost me to go to this school. Not just tuition, but what's rent like? Around the neighborhood. What do people generally spend a month in groceries? Are you going to need a car? Do you have to pay for a car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance? Or can you rent a cheap apartment across the street and walk and save yourself all that money and maybe have a better quality of life while you're there? These are the kinds of questions you need to have answered before you kind of decide in the end where it is you want to go. Things that I wish somebody had told me. Scholarships. Sometimes, if you are lucky and aggressive and charismatic and persistent, by talking to the admissions people at the university, they can point you into the right direction in terms of maybe local scholarships, need-based scholarships, merit-based scholarships that they offer that aren't well publicized, that you can qualify for. And so you need to kind of take the bull by the horns and make yourself available to them, make yourself known to them, and not by being a pest, but by being positive, by being excited, by being motivated, and by having key details about that institution when you contact the admissions department. In other words, don't just call an admissions department from a college and say, so tell me about your programs. That's the wrong way to go about it. What you do want to do is do some homework. Let's say you want to be a creative writer. That's my undergraduate degree. And you know that there's a specific professor who teaches at that school. Maybe you can ask, how often are certain courses taught? What's the kind of student to teacher ratio in a particular program? Do you get the opportunity to do workshops? These are educated questions that show the admissions individual you've done your homework, you like that school, you know about that school, and they might really want to have someone like you at that school, and therefore lend themselves to helping you make sure that goal happens. So be educated, do your research, and figure out what it's going to cost you, because you really don't want to apply to a school that you cannot afford and end up having to drop out after taking out loans, and in the end really putting yourself in a worse off position than had you never gone. So research, educate yourself, and be positive. Put yourself out there. Personal statements. What is a personal statement? A personal statement is the essay about you. It's a way to kind of say who you are, where you've been, what you've done, what motivates you, what drives you, what passions you carry within yourself, and putting these out so that somebody else, a third person, who has to read maybe 100, maybe 300, maybe 500 of these, and determine from that stack of 500 that you're going to be one of the top 30, 40, 50, 10 that they're going to pass on to the next round to be scrutinized. So a lot of people think that writing a very fluffy bit about themselves is going to get them someplace. But I'm going to tell you, my experience has shown me that passion, and being very personal helps. Now, you don't want to spill every negative thing about yourself. And I think that as human nature goes, I think that's something that we all tend to do. We focus on the negative parts of ourselves and why somebody would not want to have us. But it's sometimes, this is a really good opportunity to reflect on all the positive things that you've learned. So maybe you've had a rough life, but what have you learned? What lessons have you taken from that? And to give you a bit of an example, I've spent some time on the streets. I worked for many years as a DJ. I worked in clubs. I didn't think there was anything really extraordinary about me. But the fact is, I've always had ambition to be somebody better. I've always wanted to give to my community, and I always felt that I was never in a position to do so. So sometimes it's not that you've been someplace, it's the fact that someplace you've been has really lit a path before you on where you want to go. And sometimes explaining that transition is what a personal statement is about. I will provide another video more in detail about personal statements, but it is the strongest advocate you have in your application when you submit it to a university. It also helps if the admissions people know you, like you, have spoken to you, recognize your voice on the phone, and respond in a positive manner. And I say that. They like who you are, and they like that you are so engaged with them about their university. Do not be sloppy. Do not be sloppy. Do not go through all that work and then slap together some last minute, not even checked for typos and errors, application and personal statements and essays. That just puts you in the worst of lights. You are competing for a spot, you are competing for money, you are competing for time, and you're competing for attention. Do not make that competition an attention for the most egregious, the most sloppy, the most ill-submitted application that they have. Don't be remembered in that way. You work really hard to be famous, but you don't want to be infamous. You can never undo what you've submitted. So please, take your time, put it down, set it aside, review it a day or two later to make sure that you've caught those typos. Have a friend of yours look it over for you that you trust, that isn't going to judge the content of your statement, but going to go over the grammar and the mechanics of it. redo your resume. Redo your resume in the sense that it's not about a list of jobs you've had, it's about a list of experiences you've learned and grown from. You're not applying for a job when you go to university, you're applying for consideration. You're applying for a spot to make yourself a better you, to make yourself a more powerful you, to make yourself the best you possibly can be by accessing those kinds of resources that the university has. So redo your resume and point out the things that you feel most proud about. It doesn't have to be a list of previous jobs. Form a support group. If you're not the only group of, if you're not the only person in your group of friends, or if you know other people who are seniors and have not put their things together to apply for scholarships and for schools, you be the leader. You be the mentor. You be the lightning rod that gets these people together and does something. And that could be something that can go on your resume. Better late than never. And so, leadership is a skill that one has to develop, but it's also a decision one has to make. And when you decide that you need to take the lead into something and others respond positively to that, that is leadership. You don't have to have a vote. No one has to say you're the president of a group. You just have to take charge, take responsibility, and take your message to others and let others know that it's not about you, it's about what they can accomplish for themselves with your help. That really is, I think, the key metric to leadership. It's not about me helping myself, it's about me helping others. And this video, I hope, kind of burns a fire in you to go and to not just reflect on what I need to do for myself, but what can I do to help others, because you generally go further, faster, when you help others. Be positive. Be very positive. I know it's a stressful time. You're late. You've woken up. You realize you want to go to college and there's so much to do. But be positive. Be positive, be positive, be positive. The fact that you have this opportunity is a great thing for you to kind of be suffering through. So, this Christmas holiday, yes, go out, watch a movie, spend some time with your friends, spend some time with your family, but spend a lot of time in terms of making your future, the future you want, the future you dream, the future you desire, by putting in the time and the effort to go forward and doing the research, asking the questions, begin engaging admissions, and doing the things you got to do to put yourself in the best light possible. It's late, but it's not too late, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope this video helps you get into the school of your dreams, opens up scholarship opportunities, or if anything, is the first step of many steps towards a better, brighter future for you and yours. So happy holidays from me, Ruben Reyes, immigration attorney here in Phoenix, Arizona.